This is the Deep End Podcast.
Hello, welcome to the Deep End. I'm Tim Hatch. No, I'm not. I'm Shane. I'm the executive pastor here at the church. Great to have you guys with us. I'm usually sitting over there as Ed McMahon, but today I'm filling in for Tim, and I'm Johnny Costin. So with me today we have Steve Lee.
Hello.
As Ed McMahon, and Joan Rivers, played by Ann Letourneau.
Hi.
Great to have you guys. So before we begin today, we're going to be talking about what it means to serve at Waters Church. But before we begin, let's do a trivia question. And it's today in history. April 18th, 1981, marked the longest professional baseball game that was suspended at 4 a.m. and completed the following June. Where was this game played? So if you know that answer, just comment in the Facebook chat. And we'll go from there. And the first person to win will win a pair of tickets to Matthew West. He's coming to the church July 8th at 7 p.m. So let's see what happens.
Mercy is a song singing to my heart, telling me it's okay, come just as you are. I never heard a melody like the one that's singing over me, and I just want to sing along, 'cause mercy is a song.
All right. Anybody? Yet?
Not yet.
Well, it's a hard question. All right. Well, we'll see what somebody answers us. So let's get into it, shall we? What it means to serve at Waters Church, and that's deacons, ushers, and, any serving that goes along with the church. The biblical definition of a deacon is found in 1 Timothy 3, 8-12. And it says, in the same way, deacons are to be worthy of respect, sincere, not indulging in much wine, and not pursuing dishonest gain. They must keep hold of the truths of the faith with a clear conscience. They must be first tested, and then if there's nothing against them, let us serve as deacons. In the same way, the women are to be worthy of respect, not malicious talkers, but temperate and trustworthy in everything. A deacon must be faithful to his wife and must maintain his children and his household well. So, let me go back to that. So I think that what that means too is women are welcome to be deacons in the church. And we have quite a few women deacons, and they do an awesome job, like Ann.
Thank you.
And so, Steve, what does a deacon do here at the church?
Well, they do a lot of things. Basically, anything that allows our pastors and our elders in Waters to allow them to basically preach and minister. So we take care of everything else, such as clean up the toilets, mopping the floors, taking care of leaks, any maintenance activities that may need to be done, basically custodial activities that keep the upkeep of the church.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything that needs to be done on the
Right.
weekend. Or
So I remember we were talking about this earlier, like in the Catholic Church, when you saw a deacon, you saw them like giving out communion. He was almost like a mini priest.
Yeah.
You guys remember that? I grew up Catholic, so
I did too.
Not me.
no.
When you guys asked Ron and I to be deacons, we were like, after a few months being here, we had absolutely no idea what that meant. We just said yes. And
As usual. That's why you're here today.
yeah.
Just said yes.
But we had no idea what that meant. It's like, do they know who we are? I mean, they asked us to be a deacon, and all we could think of was we were going to be walking around with robes, and it was it was a little crazy. But it's been a great journey.
Yeah. It's been great to have you guys. You guys are game changers in this place. So that's what we were saying. Like, so the deacons will take care. It says in Acts 6:2 that the preachers and the elders will preach the word, and the deacons kind of do everything else. So Pastor Tim, he's responsible to preach the word, and the deacons will be behind the scenes, making sure the grass is cut, the toilets flush, and all that stuff. So it actually says in Acts 6:2, the men were giving themselves by feeding the flock and preaching and teaching when they realized it wasn't right for them to leave those activities to wait tables. So they found some other men that were willing to serve, and they put them into place to minister to the church's physical needs. So the deacons take care of the physical plant. So what type of? Oh, yes.
Oh, we just had one guest for the, it was Hoyt Comiskey Park, Crystal guest Hoyt Comiskey Park for your trivia question.
No.
No, sorry, Crystal.
Try again, Crystal. So, and then the deacons are also a servant. They serve others. They have a heart for God's people. And in Galatians 5, they say, "For you have been called to live in freedom, my brothers and sisters. But don't use your freedom to satisfy your sinful nature. Instead, use your freedom to serve one another in love." And then it says, Matthew 20:28, "For even the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve others and to give his life as a ransom for many." So, and no one knows serving like you. So what?
Except you.
Well, no. So what happened? How did you get to be so involved and with the serving at the church and being a deacon and?
Ron and I joined the church in July, about 7 years ago, and we just listened to the word. We, accepted Christ, and then we just kept saying yes. Whenever there was a need, we just said yes. And we watched how you and Marianne and the people that were leading the ministries conducted themselves and, just always went that extra mile. So we wanted to support that because, we love the church, we love Jesus, and we wanted to serve. So, with Romans 12, serve, you serve. That's what you're supposed to do, and that's what we did. And it just took on a life of its own, and we're just grateful. It's been fun.
Yeah, it's been a fun ride.
It has, and it has been amazing. We've had lots of memories here.
Yeah, when I first started coming too, it was I started to serve. I think we were. I think they asked us to be ushers, and I could not believe what a great time I had on a Sunday morning. Just shaking hands and smiling, and we were in Fisher College then, and then we were at on 152. So I knew everybody's name. It was only 100 people there. It was pretty cool. Met a lot of cool people just doing that. And then I did something else, and then I ended up getting a job out
Right?
of this.
Yeah, I know. Isn't it great? A whole career change.
Yeah.
Because we started as greeters. We got tapped on the shoulder. Would you do that? And that's when we were first starting Saturday services. And we didn't have a lot of people. So there was like us and you and Marianne and 14 other people in the sanctuary on Saturdays at first.
Oh, when
and
we
it
first
just
started
did
the Saturday?
Saturdays because that was
Yeah.
a slow start, but now it's huge.
Yeah, that's right.
Exciting to
I remember that.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. What about you, Steve?
Well, we basically when we first came into Waters, my wife and I, Anna and I, first came to Waters. We met Ann and Ron, and they pretty much just like you mentioned that she learned from your example. We learned from their example, and also we learned to say yes as well, just as Ann and Ron had done as well. From there, we just we love the church so much, we decided that this is our home, and we wanted to be able to get acclimated and be able to just do more than we did in our previous church. And so serving seemed the most logical, and we didn't think it'd be as rewarding, but it's so rewarding after you do it. One of the things when I first came and served, they put me out. I was in the parking team, and so I was out there by myself. And I think first thing I thought to myself is, why would I want to do parking? But then I realized it was a great ministry. It was just a great experience to be able to see people coming in and out, and getting to be the first person they see coming in and the last person they see leaving, and that. So it's been a good journey. And as we've taken on different other serving roles, it's just blossomed into just joyous activities. It's something that we look forward to do on the weekends.
How many deacons we have now?
We have about 31 right now, and obviously we're always looking out for more, and looking for people who already are doing the role of the deacon, someone who's already serving without have to be asked. Someone who maybe a good test sometimes is we see something on the floor, they pick it up.
Yeah.
They take pride in the church.
Right.
Are they greeting people? Are they doing the things that make people welcome in the church, that make them part of the church? You can tell they are part of Waters. So it's a great team I think we have. Every time we ask for the needs of the church, they're always willing to help out and able to. They ask what else can they do, which is a great experience and a great team to have for doing that.
Yeah, it's a great bunch. How many people's on your team, Ann, now?
I was just looking this morning. We have 181 people in guest services now.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many does it take to run a weekend? How many usually?
About 33 per weekend. We have between Info Kids, Info Main, greeting. We like to have as many people as possible so that, people, that no one will be missed. So we just want to make sure, and that's with, we schedule next steps for Chris McEwen now as well, and it's all part of People's Walk. And it's fun.
services.
It's still just as exciting as the first day, and everyone always comments how they feel, all the way through. When they come in the parking lot, it just overwhelms them. And they come in and they're greeted, and then they're, people who are coming for the first time and also people who are returning. Everyone feels like they're coming home and they're treated so well all the way through their journey. And it's exciting to be a small part of somebody's walk.
Yeah. New people that I read somewhere that it's like they'll know whether or not they're coming back in the first 7 minutes of coming through the parking lot. So it's a big job for us out in the lobby and the parking lot and everything to get them comfortable, to get them in the sanctuary and their hearts right to hear the gospel, to hear the good news. So we try, and you guys do an excellent job at making people feel at home and welcomed and loved. So it doesn't go unnoticed, that's for sure. All those baptism testimonies, so many of them say that though, when as soon as they walked in, they knew.
Like
Gives
we
you
did.
goosebumps.
Yeah. We felt the same way. The people that greeted us, we still know who they were. One of the best things about serving at Waters Church is the relationships that you develop because of serving side by side with people. It gives you this foundation and friendship that you don't get as an adult in the world. Just working alongside somebody makes a big difference.
Yeah, that's for sure.
That's a great point, because one of the things we hear from people is, "I don't get connected. I don't know anybody." And when you hear volunteers, especially when they do greeting or ushering or even first steps or in parking, just the relationship you build with each other is great, and it can lead to other avenues of friendships or building relationships with other people, and it's expanding, also challenging you and expanding your comfort zone. Some people, I tell people when I'm at the door with the greeter, I tell them, to smile and just say how's your day and so forth, and start a conversation. And then if you don't feel comfortable, it will allow you to get more comfortable by just doing that. So I think it's a great opportunity just to have people just, if you don't want to get, God's always stretching us, and this is a great opportunity to stretch, get to know people, and to just start feeling like it's your home and your family.
And allow God to take you out of your comfort zone. And he does weekly.
Yeah, like to be on a podcast.
Yeah, to be on a
I know.
podcast. I mean, none of us thought this was going to happen.
Me either.
Yeah. But it's been great. But
That's when I hear people say that, like you were talking about, I can't get connected or something. I just can't understand it. I mean, I think if you come to the church and you don't get connected somehow, like small group or serve, you're not gonna make it. And those are the people that disappear. They just didn't get connected. It's so important to serve. I mean, my best friends are servants now, like you guys.
right, absolutely.
Yes.
We just serve together and then go out together and go on vacation together now. And so, I mean, my life is a 180 because of you people.
Mine as well. Yeah, I mean, because it's so isolating in the world. Before we were here, that we just, you had work friends, but that's not the same.
Right.
As people that you can actually do life with. Not to say anything bad about my work friends, but
They might be watching.
it's possible. They know I'm here. But this is just so different because we're all on the same foundation. We have the foundation of Christ beneath us, and then you build from there, and you work side by side with people, and you go through the battles each week and the good times and the fun times. Just builds amazing relationships.
Yeah, the same
Grateful.
ideas, the same goals,
Right.
the same things excite you, like
Yeah.
baptisms and stuff like that. So
Yeah, you don't get the eye roll from the people here
yeah,
when you start talking about something that's exciting to you. At work, if I start talking about baptisms, it might be like,
yeah. My
wanna
old
hear
job,
that,
they used
yeah.
to call me Mother Teresa when I came in on Monday and said everything that we did on the weekend. Like,
Yeah.
most people were at bars and stuff,
sure, yeah,
but I was here.
yep,
And I liked being here.
yeah, it shows. And that's why we're here. you know, because we
Yeah.
follow you guys. You know, can't. You've always been an amazing leader. You know, because you get right down there in the trenches. You know, side by side, no matter what's needed, you're always there. You and Mary Ann both, and that inspires us.
Yes.
Don't you think?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, just learning from example, and that's one of the things. As we get older, we learn just by not by reading anymore. We learn by following and showing us, and then from there it's easy to follow from that. So yeah, I definitely agree with what Ann is saying, and your example has been something that we always sort of aspire and try to follow because you paved like a good leader. You paved the way for us. Now we can do the same thing for other people as well.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. But my thing in my idea was when I first started, hanging out with Tim and became a deacon and stuff. Like I knew then, like I am never gonna be able to preach. I don't want to, and he knows that. But I figured, my role will be to support him and Cheryl, whatever they need me to do, so he can worry about what he's gonna say on Sunday. So I think it's worked well. For, my role as because I was a deacon, and then the guys that were the head deacons, they had asked me one day. They go, "Okay, we want you to be head deacon." I'm like, "What? Like, I'm not handy, right? Like, Ron puts half my furniture together at the house, but how am I going to be a head deacon?" But they were like, "Well, people, and you can talk to people, so that'll help you." So it did. Like, I can sweep a floor, but I'm not building any shelves or anything. That's for sure. You don't want them.
Yeah, one of the most common things we hear from you is, "I know a guy." So yeah,
Yeah. That's my
I know
motto.
a guy. Yeah, that's right. I know a guy. It's good.
Yeah.
Um,
Question?
Yeah, but no, we're just getting a lot of people. Kevin was looking for the trivia question to be said again. He might have missed it.
Oh, sure. Today in history, April 18th marked the longest professional baseball game that was suspended at 4 o'clock in the morning and completed the following June. Where was this game played?
Tough one.
Yeah, well, no one is yet. That's I thought it was easier than that. Maybe because I've lived here all my life.
Should we give them a clue?
Hint, hint. I just did.
In 1981, this is a young church.
Oh.
I mean, not that you're old. I'm
Oh,
older.
No, yeah, that's true. 1981. I was
Young.
sophomore, high school. So, Steve, I'm going to get off track now.
Yeah, okay, sorry.
That's us.
Yeah.
We'll be talking about the 80s. Nothing to do with serving.
Well,
So, what is the deacon's role here at the church, Steve? Like, what are some of the things they do?
Good question. Well, one of the misconceptions that we want to clarify is the deacons do have a weekend responsibility, which is basically managing and the sanctuary during a weekend experience. And we have 3 services where we have the deacons are responsible for maintaining the inside of the sanctuary, make sure the chairs are orderly, cleaned up, taking care of any questions and so forth. But there's also other responsibilities outside of that.
Tracy is guessing the Pawtucket Red Sox versus the Rochester Red Wings.
Winner, winner, winner. Tracy. Tracy who?
Tracy LaBerge.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Tell her when we get the tickets, we'll give her a pair.
Okay.
Actually, we'll give her 4. She's got 2 kids.
Wonderful. Yay, Tracy.
Hey.
Okay. Sorry, Steve.
Oh, no.
Go on. Keep going. Now that I just
Yeah, so
wrecked you.
no, that's fine. Yeah, so that's the weekend side, but there's more to it. If there's anything else outside of that, so if there's a need for the church, like sometimes we do weekend cleanups, or we now we're doing a deacon day where we ask the deacons to come in to help either clean up some areas or perform some maintenance, or just in general, just if there's sweeping need to be involved, cleaning need to be involved in the church. Those are things that outside, basically anything that required for the church to be maintained and upkeep. Okay. Anything other? I mean, there's anything you can recognize or?
Well, the deacons also sometimes may not serve in the sanctuary, but they serve as
Yes, great point.
ministry leaders.
Yes.
So not everybody who's a deacon will necessarily be the, guest services, cafe. Most of the ministries, I think, are headed
Yep.
by a deacon.
Yeah, they're all deacons. Like just the deacons run the parking lot too, so you never see them inside. They're always outside, but they're deacons out there too. I mean, they're doing a job.
Yes.
So there's a lot of people out there that that are doing the job of a deacon now, but they just don't have the title. And we don't obsess about titles here anyway. But we're always looking to see who's the next, because who's the next deacon. So Steve and I are we have a few people to talk to. But if you're interested in being a deacon, you should stop and tell Steve
And Anna as
and
well.
Anna. Yeah, or Ron and Ann.
Yes. Yeah. One of the things is that as like Ann said, as ministry leaders are deacons as well. But what we always do is communicate with one another, and that's very important with our team. That's what makes our team so great, is that we're able to communicate different things, things that work well, things that don't work well, and we can learn from that and be able to. And that's how we get that consistency going. And we're looking for people who can also add to that and even make that even better. So
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that makes this team work well, because I fly off the seat of my pants most of the time, but you get me back in. So you with the emails and the communication, you're really good at that. So that keeps it all together. Communication's key.
Is. But you keep it exciting.
yes.
It's like, oh, we're going here now, and off we go. And it works. It
Trust
works
me, it'll be
really
fun.
well. Yeah, I've heard that before.
It was like Anna, you were mentioning before, like the duck or the swan.
Yeah, yeah,
Duck, yeah, the duck. Yeah, we're like ducks. There's a lot that goes on underneath the surface, and we hope that when people come through the door, it seems smooth and it seems effortless.
Yeah.
But, we're always tweaking, we're always refining, and we're also trying to bring people up, because, as much as we, we love being here, that you're not always going to be here forever. So you want to make sure that, there are people that are coming up that can just step into your shoes and make it even better, like Steve and Anna did with leading the deacons. They brought it up to a whole nother level. And it's great to see.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so did you. So Rod and Ann were the lead deacons before Steve and Anna, and they were after me, I think. And you guys took it up a huge level too, and you paved the way for Steve and Anna. So
Yep. And the next person will even do an even greater job as well.
Absolutely.
God will always raise up great leaders.
yep, because who's next?
Yes.
Who's next?
I
And
mean,
we're always looking.
You're not getting any younger, Steve. So
Yeah.
we have to find your replacement. So if you have any questions, feel free to jump in on Facebook, and we'll be watching for the comments. Any questions yet, Ann, or just positive feedback? Where's Tim Hatch or anything?
Yeah, no one's asked about Tim, surprisingly. Carly says deacons also help the kids ministry, especially during evacuation and fire drills. That's another.
Oh, yes.
Deacon.
Yes.
Oh yeah, and talk about the super deacons. We call them the super deacons.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Our goal for that.
The super deacons are essentially, not that there's any,
They don't wear a cape.
don't wear a cape.
no.
There's no special designation for that. But essentially, that's kind of a term that we use for people that always count on them when there's an issue that comes up. They're always there. That being said, they're there when the evacuations are there. You don't have to go off and say, "Oh, so and so, can you please do this?" They're always doing that. If they're always, it's almost like the person who's running into a building that's on fire that wants to save. It's an innate nature for them, and they can be called upon, or they just react whenever their need is there. So
Yeah, fill in the gaps if people are out,
yes,
stuff like that. You don't have to use them much though. The
Uh,
super deacons.
no, I think yes and no.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes one of the things we're trying to do now is, and I think leading by example through Ann and Ron is sometimes as ministry leaders we need to take a break, and as Tim says, take a scheduled break. And one of the things is that by having these people who can help us do that, that's it not just refreshes us, but also raises the new leaders and give them exposure to this, and so they can be leaders and do other things and do those things that are called upon, which I think is a great thing to do.
Yeah, everybody needs a weekend off,
Right.
including you guys. So it's good that you have some people to back you up, and so you can take a Saturday off and go to a game or whatever. So it's good.
Paint
that
your house.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
whatever needs to be done.
So, but deacons are really noticeable in the sanctuary.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
Yes. So what the deacons do in the sanctuary, they're like I mentioned before. Typically, there's at least 2 deacons in the sanctuary who are responsible for the upkeep and make sure everything is running smoothly in the sanctuary. And they're also assisted by ushers, and ushers are the folks that are there to help guide and seat people, help the deacons offer to find people their seats. But also afterwards, what they do is to make sure that it is presentable and ready for the next service, and make sure that if there's any issues that come out, they can be able to handle those things. Sometimes you'll get, once in a rare while, you may get some people with drinks coming in that may not want to, may not know that they can't bring those in, or they bring in children that are under 10, and they be able to handle those situations, know how to be able to, in a way that's beneficial for the people coming in, and also be able to serve them as well.
Yeah, we try to, get everybody as they come in, but sometimes it doesn't work. So we certainly would rather not make anybody uncomfortable. So we would rather catch them in the lobby if they have a coffee, or, instead of running after them. It's, we want everyone to feel comfortable when they come in and welcome, and understand the great programs that we have. The kids ministry is wonderful, and we understand that people don't necessarily want to leave their children the first time they're here. So you have the family room, which is great.
Right.
But, we just want we just want to be part of their walk, and we don't want to scare them away. But,
Yep.
And we also don't want to draw attention if the service has started, if, someone's running down the aisle chasing after a child or something.
Yeah, no, we
Not,
don't
no,
want that.
that's not good.
No, we don't want
No,
that.
no.
I was going to ask you, what's the toughest part of being a deacon? I think we just heard it, but
That's could be one of them. My wife is has some stories that she can provide that provide that examples of. But I think the hardest part about being a deacon is to be able to serve somebody and see that sometimes it may not be the answer that they want when you serve. Sometimes when you serve somebody, it's for their best interest, and sometimes you feel you're disappointing people. And one of the things is that my nature is I want to help, and sometimes I go overboard to help too much, and sometimes it may not be the best thing. Sometimes, so what I've learned as being a deacon is to be able to serve people, but in a way that's for their best interest, and help them keep sight of that, so that knowing that we're here for your best interest. It may not always go the best way, and that's where that could be the tough part about being a deacon or in the sanctuary. Outside of that, sometimes is just trying to one thing I think of is trying to be available. And I can't be available because I love the church so much that I want to be here and help as much as I can. I know there's plenty of people out there who have said the same thing, and that's kind of the heart of a deacon. And as a result, it's one of those things where you want to serve but you can't serve. This can also be disappointing as well.
disappointing that you have to go to
Do
work.
something else, or do something else.
Yeah. I remember that too. It's like, oh man, I wish I was there. When I was working. Not that I didn't love my job or the people that I worked with, but it was a great place to work. But I was always like, oh, yeah. I think that's why I got hired. Tim says that I used to just bother him so much at the office. I'd call and say, what are you doing? What do you need? What can I do? What can I do? He's like, just hire him.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's a good time to put a Tim face.
Oh, yeah.
Talk to
I
Tim.
already did. Hello.
Tim on a stick.
Yeah. So volunteering at Waters Church, Ann, how's that going?
Great. We get new people every week that come in, and it's really an easy process. You just have to come to Info Central, get the packet, and in it, the people at Info will help them explain what it is. They have to complete a query. We query all of our volunteers, no matter where they're serving.
Mm-hmm.
Then when they return it, they put it in a sealed envelope, so nobody, gets their personal information. It gets queried. They get an application. They check off where they want to serve. Once the query is complete and everything's okay, from the church perspective, Abby, the church secretary, emails the ministry leaders, and we get their information. We put them into planning center, which is really important.
Yeah.
Because that's how
Managing
we
all
schedule
those people.
everything. And we ask, and then I do a personal email to whoever is wanting to join the team, explaining what their options are, asking them to meet with us before we put them on the schedule so that we can get a better understanding of what they would want to do, where they fit in the ministry, because they may have an idea of what they want to do, but someone who's only been with the church a week, we probably wouldn't put on Info Central because they just wouldn't have the background, for that yet. So we would probably start them as a greeter initially and then work from there and see where their strengths are.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And meeting with a new volunteer is always important. It helps you build that relationship also from that, but also gives you that it gives you the insight that you can't get from a piece of paper. And I think that's a great example that you provided for that. Just a great way to get to know the person better. And then, hey, we want to cater to people's strengths. I remember a friend of ours. I always use this in our small group. When he first volunteered, Marianne asked him, "So, what do you like to do?" And he goes, "I don't like people." So we're like, "Oh, okay." So we now know where to put
Where'd you put him?
parking.
I
And-
like people to be
but
in
he-
parking too.
And he loved it. Now that was the great thing is just cater to his strength.
Yeah, he grew in his role.
Yes, he did.
Is he
and
still with
that's-
us?
Yes, he is.
Oh, good.
And he probably likes people a little bit better now.
Tell me
Yes, he
later.
does.
Yeah. Now Shane wants to know.
Yeah, not now.
Not now.
We don't want to embarrass him
No.
or
No,
her.
we try not to embarrass anybody. But it's true, it is about relationships too, because it's exciting, meeting these new people, meeting new volunteers. Some of the people have been here longer than I have, and just growing in the relationships and seeing them growing in their roles, and also seeing them growing with each other. I mean, I see a lot of them do life together because they serve side by side now, and that's it's nice to see. We try to touch base with all the volunteers every service.
I see you
Between
Ron,
Ron
doing
and
that.
I,
You
we-
do that a lot.
Well, we just want to make sure everybody, we want to cast the vision, which is important, what we're doing here, why we're doing it, remind them, support them. And I know I see you do that as well, Steve. You
Yes.
meet with everybody.
Yes, and Anna and I make it a point to just have some sort of conversation with them. It's important. It's get to know them. Sometimes, and one of the things we do also is we pray as often as we can before the service starts. And what comes up from that sometimes is prayer requests. And it's great to hear feedback from the people who are serving that, we prayed about this last week, and here's the result of that. One person we know, we prayed before that for health, and next week it was healed. Another person had we prayed for her job, and then she got the job offer next week. So it's good to have that feedback, and it's the power of prayer.
Sure. Doing life together?
Doing life together, yeah.
Just like you said. A lot of the volunteers, maybe they don't know it, but the 310 meeting on Saturday, when we all get together in the volunteer entrance, and Tim just he prays, and we run down the weekend, we lift up people in prayer, just like you guys do as the whole church. Sometimes those are incredible moments. Like
Yes.
you don't even need church. It's like I'm done. I'm going home. But because it's been like 20 minutes of just the Holy Spirit
Yes.
It is.
rocking and rolling.
It is, because sometimes you walk in, it's 3:10, you've
Yeah.
been rushing around,
Yep.
and you're like catching your breath, and then you just stop, and we worship, and you sing, and we pray, and you walk out of there like just feeling like you could conquer anything.
Right.
You can see people's demeanor change during the course of the meeting. They straighten
Oh,
their
for sure.
backs, they grow stronger. They're ready to meet whatever
walking
comes.
downstairs like
Yeah, it's like
let's do
lions,
this. Game day.
Yeah, it is. Everybody's excited, and it is. It's one of the best parts of the weekend. It's the 310 meeting.
Yeah. He writes about it in his latest blog that you can find on waterschurch.org. There's a blog plug for you, Tim.
Yeah, and there's that's another point that I hear from so many volunteers. They look forward to, and that's one thing great about our volunteers who serve. And you hear the common theme is that they look forward to the weekend. They're looking forward to serving others. And one of the things that you get and that just makes you feel better, but then you're doing God's will, and that's just there's such an amazing feeling when you're in alignment with God and the Holy Spirit is working through you. And I hear stories where Tim may say something in the 310 meeting, and you hear the same theme going on throughout different people's conversation who may have not even heard that. And then you hear it in small group, the same theme. And you can tell the Holy Spirit is working through that whole process.
So, yeah, people are saying, Kevin's saying the 310 meeting is the best part of serving. And Erica, serving has just made a huge impact on her life.
Yeah.
It's exciting. It's exciting to see that feedback.
So what if somebody wanted to be a greeter or an usher? Like what do they do besides, there's more to it than that, I'm sure.
Right. Well, it depends on where they are. We have a couple of different, we have first-time visitor greeters, which are responsible for making, obviously, our first-time visitors feel comfortable. They're the first people that they'll see at the entry doors. And their responsibility is to, if they're parked in the first 4 spots, we want to make them feel welcome. But yeah, we have to have the right people there because you have to feel people out. They may not want, balloons and horns, following them through the lobby. So we just, we try to keep it low-key. We introduce ourselves, ask them if they would like a tour. Most people do if they park in those first 4 spots, and then they'll bring them on a tour. They'll bring them over to Info Central. We have a free gift. They get a snack from the cafe.
Yep.
We talk to them, ask them how they, came to us, how they found us, told them they can get connected at Info. We show them the kiosks for next steps if they're interested in that. I always tell them, to introduce them to somebody else along the way as they walk through, because next time you may not be there, and we don't want people to feel for like the first 4 weeks till they see you again in that spot that they don't know anybody. So we ask them, just to try to make them feel as comfortable as possible. You feel it out. You just walk them through. You show them where the restrooms are, the cafe. People who are the greeters outside the doors, they give you your bulletin. I still call it a bulletin.
Yeah, it
What
is a-
else we'd call it?
No, it's a bulletin.
It's a bulletin.
Yeah.
Okay. And, they're also responsible. We want to make people feel welcome, but they're also responsible to make sure people, children under 10 don't come through. There's no coffees. Just making people feel welcome. I've heard so many comments that people say, a lot of people, that might be the first person that smiled them at all week long, when they come through those doors, that they, they have rough jobs or they're going through difficult times, but that smile, people come back to me 6 or 8 months later and say, I don't know if you remember, but, you made a difference that day. And it's exciting to see the growth and people coming through. Greeting's a fun job, but it's a responsibility.
Yes.
You have to have the right personality. We can't have grumpy people.
No, we've changed people's roles throughout the years. We had people there that clearly shouldn't be there, like you said, giving the dagger eyes and
Right,
being Krabby Patties. But,
right.
So we move them along quickly.
Sure.
We don't fire anybody, but we find another role
Right,
for
yeah.
them.
Right. And, we ask for responsibility too. We, if people accept, let your yes be yes, and
Yeah.
show up, or let us know that you're not going to show up, because, we expect you to be there if you say you're going to be. And that's why we use Planning Center. We ask people to accept or decline. That's important too. Even if they have to say no, that's fine, just as long as we know. We don't want to be left guessing, at the end of the week, well, are you coming? Are you not?
Right.
Are you waiting for a better offer? I don't know.
That's a good point, because one of the things for Planning Center is that when you go live on the weekend or your service, you want to make sure you can count on those people, and that's why it's very important that people either accept or decline as soon as they know, and it helps us to plan around that and find other people.
Sure.
And one thing I also want to put a shout out to, we have a lot of great volunteers who are just, even though they're not on that weekend, are willing to just step up and serve.
Right.
And we're able to pull, we can't always rely upon pulling those people. We also don't want to burn them out as
Right.
well. But we're so thankful that we have that pool of people that can.
Right.
that
We tell
will-
deacons, you're on.
Yes.
If you're in the building, you're on.
Yes.
So, and they respect that, and they do
Yes.
that. Like a lot of them keep shirts in their car. Like, I'll go grab my shirt, which is awesome to see.
There's a lot of comments here about team night on Thursdays too. The opportunity to work with the media team. They need help too. It's a great team of people, and they meet every Thursday. Shane.
Yep, 6:00 on Thursdays. Yeah, that's a great place to be. Even if you're just interested and you don't know anything about media or anything, they'll teach you. So there's all kinds of roles that you can learn there. It doesn't have to be what you see on stage either. It could be behind the scenes too. Like a lot of people like to be behind the scenes, just running the slides, or you don't have to be a sound technician to go. If you have any interest, just go and talk to the guys. They'll be glad to have you. I think they feed you.
Right, in the online church too. That's a great ministry as well.
Yep. So that's where you go if you want to know anything about the media. Just go to team night on Thursdays. It's always happening.
Yeah. One of the things also I want to mention is, even though we're talking about a certain type of volunteers, and there's many more opportunities out there. There's the parking team, there's a cafe team, there's Waters Kids, there's ministry, online ministry. We have the media team, and I'm sure there's other ministry groups that are potentially forming as well. And there's always so with that many options to choose from, or more than one also choose from, definitely find something that'll suit your strengths.
Even taking the offering,
Oh,
brings
yeah.
back memories when I first started coming. Like, I don't know who he was, but he said, "Can you help with the offering?" I was like, "Oh, yeah, I can do that.
Yes.
No commitment."
Our first night, that's someone asked us, and it's like, oh, okay, sure.
That's
First night, wow.
First night, yeah. Well, I think we did. We looked kind of deer in the headlights, and they were being kind.
That's a great point. That's one of the things as a deacon, their responsibilities are in the sanctuary is to choose people to do the offering, and that's a great way to get people, maybe if they're relatively new in the church and you haven't seen them that often, to help get them involved and get that serving blood juices flowing through them, and then if they like it, sometimes they usually come back and ask if they can do it again. It's a
Yeah,
great way
I see a lot of the same people doing it.
Yeah, and our goal is we're trying to change it up so we get other people doing it so they can eventually start getting into the mode of trying to serve, and then from there it's an easy way into that role.
Yeah, they can take their money, then tell them where to sit, and then go from there.
Yep.
But what about the ropes?
Oh, the ropes.
How's that working out
that's,
for
that's
you?
the fun. That's
I'll poke the nest here.
yes. That's my wife's favorite topic. No.
Why do we do it?
So why we do it is essentially we want to make sure that we want to get people to come towards the front and center, and also is to allow people to basically free up space so that people can go towards the front. And if we have to, the ropes are a designated area where we don't have it open yet. And typically we open them later in the service as it starts to fill up. And this allows when people come in or newcomers and they don't feel comfortable moving towards the front, they allow them to sit towards the back. And that's why we want to have the opportunity for people who have been coming into Waters know the role and know that we like to have people sit towards the front and the middle. It also allows people to not get disturbed when preacher, either be Tim or last week it was Chris who was speaking, be able to concentrate on relaying the gospel and the message to the people without being disturbed, and it allows them to be able to get comfortably seated and be able to still hear the message.
Yeah, I think having people go to the front, the main goal there is if more people in the front, then the first-time visitor doesn't have to march by everybody and sit in the front row. Because if you're the first time, you're a little leery about us, so you're just, timid about sitting up front. So if there's rows in the back, you can just slide in, check us out, slide out. You don't have to be a spectacle.
Right.
And so, I don't think it bothers the preachers so much. I think it's for the first-time visitor, so they get to sit where they want. Right. Most people want to sit in the back if they're new. And also, I think it's been kind of like a rush for the front. For the people who've been here for a while, they all want the front, which was unheard of in the old building. We had to really usher them to the front. Right. Now it seems like it's an easier thing to do for you guys now from when I'm standing back there watching.
Yes, it is, and I think it's ever since we moved to the new building, it's been a progress, and it also helps that it's when Tim or whoever's up on stage talks about that, it helps reinforce that. But
the why.
The why behind the what. Right?
And that's it, the new visitor.
Right. And think about it. If you're coming to an unfamiliar building for the first time, and you don't know anything, and you're just this is your first experience, and it could be daunting because we have a large sanctuary. Finding a place to sit, sometimes you don't want to be noticed yet, or it's uncomfortable.
Exactly.
So that allows them to have the ability to do that. Also, another thing we want to make sure people are aware of is that even though we have the ropes that designate a certain area that we would like to fill up ahead of that, is that we are trying to accommodate people as much. And if you talk to an usher, talk to a deacon in the sanctuary, we'll try to do the best that we can within the things that we're trying to accomplish. And we'll try to do, like some people want end seats, and we will try to accommodate as much as we can. They're not always available at a certain time. We ask people to maybe wait a little bit and allow them, once the rows open up, we can allow them to accommodate that. So that's something we could try to do. And all we ask for is communication with the deacon or usher.
Yeah, I had someone ask last week, she's always seen wheelchairs towards the front. She was afraid that her grandmother is coming, and she was afraid that her grandmother would have to go to the front, which would make her very uncomfortable. I said, well, you just have to talk to the usher when you come in, and they will move a seat from the end of the aisle, and your grandmother will be placed in a comfortable place, and we would never put her in a position
That's
to be
correct.
embarrassed or uncomfortable.
Shane, you were saying on the topic of the people wheelchairs in the front, they've actually requested that, and over the weeks we know that that's where they want to sit. So
As you get to know people.
to get to know people, and that's one of the things.
That's awesome.
As you get to see people week after week after week, you get to see their habits and their likes, and you get to build that relationship with people as well.
It's like, I've seen people come 6-7 weeks, not say a word, sit in the back, and they leave. Sit in the back, they leave. Then one day, I don't know what it is, but something Tim said, God got a hold of him or something, they stop by Info Central. And that's the start. Like, let's come as you are, but don't stay that way. And I think after a few weeks, people just, I like this place. I like these people. I'm welcome here. And then they go to see Chris at Next Steps, or they start their journey. Might
Right.
not be right.
Everyone's different.
Yeah.
Right.
Some get convicted immediately, and the first day they're there, they want to get involved with everything. And that's another thing with volunteering. Oftentimes, when someone's new to volunteering, they get really excited. I want to do this every week. And we always tell them, no,
Don't.
you don't want to do this every week, because we don't want to burn you out. When you've been with us for a little while, we're happy to add you, or if we need extra help one week, you sure, come in, wear your shirt. If you feel like serving, we'll put you to work. But we don't want you overcommitted, at least not, right away, and then just go from there, because
how
it is
many times
exciting.
has that happened?
It happens a lot.
And then you don't even see them
And then
anymore.
they're gone, and
Yeah.
then they say, oh, I can't do this anymore, when it never had to happen in the
Yeah,
first place.
You're killing me.
You're killing me, and that was never our intent.
Yes.
We just, we want people to serve. So we usually ask them how often they want to serve,
Right.
Yes, that's a great
and
point.
what days, because you can pick. So it's good.
Yep.
Yeah, it works out well.
Well, thank you for coming today.
That was
Oh,
quick.
thank you for having
Yeah,
us.
it was great. I think I got you Chick-fil-A for lunch, so stick
Ooh.
around. Thanks
Nice.
for coming. Thanks everyone for having us today. I hope you got something out of it. We'll see you on the weekend. This has been The Deep End.
Thanks for joining us for this week's Deep End Podcast. We pray that you continue to grow in your faith and that you would serve and support your local church. If you don't already have a church home, we invite you to join us this weekend at Waters Church. We are located at 57 John Deach Square in North Attleboro, Massachusetts, and you can join us every Saturday at 4 p.m. and Sunday mornings at 9:30 and 11:30 a.m. Make sure to stay tuned in for next week's episode of The Deep End Podcast.